Welcome to another interview presented by Alabama Wrestling Forums. I'm Jackson Basker with three-time Alabama State champ Mason Blackwell. How you doing today, Mason?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. So let me start off by asking, what got you into wrestling?
Back in sixth grade, or it actually happened before sixth grade, but my older cousin started wrestling, and he wrestled for Wetumpka. His name was Gil Collar. He was a pretty successful wrestler, and that kind of got my family into wrestling. And then when he moved off to college, he ended up getting killed. So me and my brother started wrestling in kind of honor of him, and we just wanted to start wrestling, do all we could to kind of live on his legacy.
So you were able to wrestle varsity your eighth grade year. How did being able to wrestle varsity? I would say you did very well in the state. You placed that year, if I'm not mistaken, right? You placed your eighth grade year?
I got fourth
Yeah.
in eighth.
So you placed your eighth grade year. How does the confidence come from just being a middle schooler at you weren't a 106 either. You were like a 145. So you were wrestling some solid competition. What kind of gave you the confidence to go out there at such a young age?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have much confidence whenever I was younger. Seventh grade when I started, I really wasn't good at all. I took more losses than I did wins that season, I think. But after the season, I got with my coach, TJ Graham, and me and him worked hard all off season. We really didn't take many days off. And so I made a huge jump from seventh to eighth grade. And then we really just didn't have a 145 to fill the spot my eighth grade year. That's why I ended up getting bumped up to varsity. But I was training with some good guys. There was some good older guys on the team that helped me out a lot. And they would just really try and get me to go out and tell me it didn't really matter if I won or lost. I'm in eighth grade, so I just go out there and have fun. And I ended up having a good bit of success with that.
Well, you mentioned TJ Graham, and he's the coach over at River Rats. I know he coached over at Wetumpka for a little bit. How did having him as a club coach kind of give you – what did Coach Graham give you?
Coach Graham was an amazing coach, not only in that he had tons of wrestling knowledge, and he got us right with wrestling technique and with the physical ability aspect of it. But he also taught us a lot of life lessons, like how just what you put in is what you get out, especially in wrestling, but also just really in life. Everything that you work hard for, you're going to get something out of it. But also, he always just told us, nobody cares, train harder. That was his little motto. And anytime somebody would start complaining, anytime somebody was throwing up or anything, he'd just say, nobody cares, train harder. And that really got to me because the real world is the same way. People don't care about your feelings. You just got to put your head down and get through it. So that was the mindset I tried to adopt.
So your eighth grade year, you also had a lot of like really good wrestlers on that team, like kids who John Ellis Rawls, Trent Hawley, among other guys who were on that team. How did having those guys who were successful on the mat, of course, state-wise, kind of help you?
They were a great motivation because not only were they good leaders and they kept high intensity at practice, but they would work with me especially because I think it's because they were friends with my older brother, but they would go out of their way to help me. And really it felt like they were bullying me at the time. But looking back, I know that they were really just trying to get me out of my comfort zone and get me to work. And that really made a big difference because especially with people like John Ellis and Trent Hawley, they were big guys. I was a 145 and they were heavyweights and 220s. So having them always trying to wrestle you and kind of call you out, it makes you work harder. You really don't have a choice.
What are the benefits of having an older brother in the sport?
I say having an older brother helped me a lot because you can see his path of like where he's going, his trajectory. And really my goal was always to beat it. I saw Cole was successful. He made it to the state finals by his sophomore year. So in my mind, I had to do it by my freshman year. So really I just saw his progress and how fast he was progressing. And I just wanted to work harder so I could progress even faster because I knew he had a head start and that's what it would take to catch up. So it was really just the competition aspect of it that really pushed us.
So what were the benefits of wrestling off season and going to those big tournaments that I know you've gone to, like Virginia Beach?
Those really, I feel like the off-season training and tournaments is what sets apart most wrestlers from the regular wrestlers because, or like the regular wrestlers from the great wrestlers because anybody can train for 3 or 4 months out of the season and then go about the rest of their year and just only get better during those 4 or 5 months. But whenever you're wrestling year round, it's every week is wrestling. It just becomes part of your everyday routine and it's something you think about every day. And it just kind of gets implemented into your everyday life. And it really just, I feel like it sets those people apart. But with the big tournaments, I feel like those are a great help because the competition is 10 times better. If you go to tournaments in Alabama, I was winning tournaments in Alabama by 8th or 9th grade, but going out of state, I didn't win my first tournament out of state until my senior year, just because the kids are so much better. And it really just makes you, it shows you what you need to work on, really, because it's hard to tell where you need to improve when you're wrestling the same guys all the time.
So obviously River Rats is also at a facility where they do CrossFit. And I know you've done some CrossFit. What are some of the benefits of doing CrossFit for wrestling?
I feel like CrossFit has really helped me a lot because not only is it does it get you right athletically, but it really helps with the competition aspect of it as well because I've always been a competitive person and that's what I've liked about wrestling. But CrossFit is also that same way because you can go to CrossFit competitions and compete against other people your same age or even against other people just across the country. And having other people push you in your workouts just basically intensifies the workouts. When you're working out by yourself, you can lift some weights or run or do whatever you want. But when you're going against somebody and trying to race somebody, it just makes everything more intense.
I know that your entire career with Wetumpka, you definitely have battled with some injuries. And I know that kind of held you back at your state tournament your sophomore year and sometimes before that. What made you jump from being, you got 4th and 6th in your first couple years? What made you make that big jump from going from there to winning 3 consecutive state titles?
I feel like a big part of that was I was determined to be a 4-time state champ after I lost my 8th grade year. That was my goal. I wanted to be a 4-time, and I worked really hard for that. And my freshman year, whenever I went to state, I made it all the way to the semifinals and got a concussion, had to leave on a stretcher. And that really broke my heart because it kind of ruined that dream of being a 4-time. But after that, it made it clear to me that a state championship isn't just easy to come by. You can't just do it. You have to have the skills, the mindset, and also have a little bit of luck. You can't just get out there and just go through a whole tournament without any bumps or bruises. So you have to kind of be lucky in the fact that you avoid injuries. And so that kind of made me realize that just being good enough wasn't good enough. You had to exceed all your competition because if you're wrestling somebody that's on the same level as you, that's more likely for it to go either way or for somebody to get an injury or something. So I really just tried to push myself to not just be up there with the best people, but to kind of overachieve and be better than everybody else.
Awesome. And of course, congrats on a great career. I know that you were not inherently planning on wrestling in the collegiate level, which I wish you would because I think that'd be kind of cool. But what are your plans after high school?
I'm going to Auburn next year, actually. I got a academic scholarship to Auburn, so I'm going to be going there and studying business.
Business? What kind of business? You know yet?
I'm not sure. I kind of want to do some type of like business management or something, but I may not even Honestly, I'll probably end up trying to start a business when I get older.
If you were to start a business, what do you think it would be?
Um, Honestly, me and some of my buddies have talked about trying to make like a wrestling club, and kind of we're not really sure where yet, but we're talking about trying to have some type of club and just do camps and kind of just build wrestling.
You're talking your buddies. Who would you do it with?
Do you remember Trent Blankenship? He graduated
Mhm.
last year.
Yeah.
He's one of the people I've talked about it with. Noah Barclay, I've mentioned it with him a couple times. It's just a couple guys that have come through and seen how much a wrestling club can make a difference on a team. Because before the wrestling club in Wetumpka was never really that good of a school at wrestling. Like we were always okay. We had a few people qualify for state, maybe a couple state champs, but we never were really an outstanding program. But after the River Rats program started up, I think it, it wasn't called River Rats until about a year or two ago, but the Wetumpka club started back in probably my 7th grade year. And ever since then, the program has skyrocketed. It's gone from 20 guys on the team to 60 guys on the team. It's gone from qualifying 5 or 6 people to qualifying 13 people, 14 people. So it really just makes a huge difference.
Definitely. So, I know you said you have no idea where. I don't know. Maybe some ideas would be like far side of Montgomery, opposite of Wetumpka, or anywhere in between Montgomery and Mobile, because there's that long stretch of road when you
Big,
drive towards Pensacola.
big
But
out.
I don't know how many clubs are out in that way.
I don't think there's too many. I think that would be a good play.
Well, I see. I feel bad because like I talk about it. I said, let's say there's no club in. I think I said, let's say there's no club in Beauregard when I do my weigh-in, and I don't even know if there's a club out there. There might be.
I think there's one in Auburn that's like a for college kids, but I don't think that's well,
Well, that brings me to my next segment. I've got a segment on the show called The Weigh-In where I get people to weigh in on hot button topics that go on in Alabama wrestling. So the first one I'm going to ask you is, do you think that wrestling in Alabama should be one division or multiple divisions? And if multiple divisions, how do you think it should be split up?
I'm being honest, this past year they split it up to where it'd be 1A through 4A, 5A and 6A were together, and then it was 7A. And I enjoyed that because I was in the 5A, 6A division, which ended up being what I feel like was the most competitive division. So I thought that was fun. But I think that it would honestly be better if they just together, because Alabama, while the wrestling has grown a lot, I still don't think it's big enough for there to be 3 separate divisions. I think there should be one champion crown for each weight class, and I think that would make it more competitive. I feel like it would make it where kids have to work harder to be state champs, and I feel like it'd be a cool thing to see, because I feel like state would be like a bloodbath.
So my next question is, do you think kids should be able to go to club in season?
I believe so, honestly, because those extra practices, most people aren't willing to do them, but the kids that are willing to do them, I feel like they shouldn't be restricted from them. Because a kid's only gonna work as hard as he wants to, or as hard as he's determined to. So it wouldn't be forcing people to do extra work, but it would be allowing them to do extra work and be better. And I feel like any extra work, anything like that, is only going to benefit the people in wrestling and in life.
Definitely. Well, before I let you go, Mason, is there anything you want to say to my viewers?
Just nobody cares. Train harder. Keep the grind.
Amen. Well, Mason, thank you so much for joining me today. Of course, if you ever need anything, let me know. And thank you to all my viewers. Keep watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And stay cool, Alabama Wrestling.